Morning, my fellow gaming enthusiasts. It's been a while since the Batman's really ranted on some things, and I got a topic I want to share, and it's something that's always been an issue with me as a game master, not so much as a player, but from a game master's perspective, it's always bothered me how other people perceive things like this, including my fellow gamers and my friends and associates over the years. Should intelligent foes fight to the death? Should they fight to the death? Come on. How many times as a player or as a GM you've allowed the players, or you're as a player you've gone along with the group when they've had an encounter in a setting where you've got intelligent humanoids who either attack the group or the group attacks them, and at some point the bugbears or the goblins or the kobolds or whatever, the tide turns against them and they start losing members of their tribe or their group. Why would they fight to the death? At what point should they turn and attempt to flee or to seek mercy or throw themselves at the feet and beg for whatever? I mean, come on. How often have you sit there and been in a game, especially in a novice game? This, I think, it tends to be a lot more towards the novice players and GMs than the more veteran ones who understand that the mechanics of or the flow of the storyline should not be such a end all to beat all or an all or nothing encounter. You go into the city and your group's jumped by some thugs or some rogues, or you run in with the local town guard, and there's a brawl that turns bloody. Next thing you know, you're massacred the entire group. Really, really, do you think that the handful of lower level cut purses and street thugs aren't going to turn and run at the first opportunity the minute they realize they've bit off more than they can chew, or that the group, in you know Orgroth, the barbarian, basically swings his backhand and takes the head off of one of the nearest thug to him. Everybody else should have a gut check and go, and then run. Now, there's challenges in and of running it that way. I mean, for starters, there's opportunities for payback for the group to come back and to try to ambush your player characters at some point. The local constable, the local guards, the constabulary to get involved. Other people saying, "Oh, those guys had it coming because they've been terrorizing us for a long time." In the wilderness, when the goblins, the tribe attacks, and you manage to decimate them in a matter of rounds, the rest flee for their lives, and then the word helps spread the word to not to mess with your group. Or later, like I said, some goblin champion comes forward and demands justice for his tribe, or some, revenge, an attempt of assassination or ambush or whatever later up the road. This is reoccurring foes at this point, potential for them anyway. The other question has to go, and then we're into this section where I get a lot of people that are on the fence or radically one or the other when it comes to alignments. And how do we allow an understanding of alignments to play forward in our game systems, and how do they apply to a situation where it's all or nothing, where it's do or die? In this situation, would a goodly alignment group actually try to literally slaughter every foe that comes at them and not offer them mercy at some point? You've got the bugbear on the ground. He's missing an arm. His head's half caved in. He's down to a -3 hit points. He's gurgling and clawing at the ground, and so, it's a mercy killing. It's a mercy killing. How are we going to put him out? Really? Really? Is it? How do you know? How do you know if you just wander off and leave him to die that some of his compadres don't sneak back and try to save him? I'm just saying, right? Or are we obligated as the group's cleric that feels that his alignment obligates him to try to at least stabilize the poor creature, make an attempt. If the creature turns around and tries to take his arm off or his leg off, hey, okay, you made the attempt. Now put it out of its misery, right? The same goes for back to the urban settings where we're dealing with intelligent, friendly races. The elves and the dwarves and the halflings and the tieflings and the humans by the bajillions. Uh, you're gonna basically ram run shot over the top of a group of penny ante thieves in the back alley of some city somewhere, and then walk off and leave the handful of them that are struggling to live, walk away from them. Okay, you're neutral. Got some evil tendencies. That's you got what you got. You got what you asked for, and you deserve what you get. Good luck, and I hope somebody will come along and take pity on you. Considering what the locals around here think of you, that may not be your advantage, but you're on your own. But if you got a lawfully good aligned character or a group of lawfully aligned good characters, shouldn't they consider at least trying to, aid and provide mercy to these people? They are people, right? Isn't there some advantage potentially to, saving one or two of them, making an effort? And think about that for a minute from a wheels within wheels perspective of gaming. When we sit there and we go and get jumped by a group of street thugs and we hand them their hat, the group just goes, woof. And next thing you know, there's bodies everywhere, pieces of bodies everywhere, people running, screaming, walls caving down, yelling for the town watch, the guard, whatever. And we got one or two, cut purses that run for their life, and you let them go. You don't shoot them in the back as they're running down the street like a rabid dog. On the other hand, one of them's laying on the ground, about ready to bleed out and die. You take mercy on them, slap a healing potion on them or a spell, just enough to stabilize them. This is what you get for picking on. You don't know what you pick on. You got to be a little more careful, blah, blah, blah. And then later down the road, this person either feels obligated to, or at least some marginal line of gratefulness that you didn't let them die. And they become a valuable resource, an informant, a tool for gathering information, potentially, a witness to the fact that you didn't butcher the entire group in case somebody comes along later and tries to accuse the group of PCs of that. Sometimes is the way things go, right? So, like I said, I am of the opinion, and I always have been, that anything with a moderate level of intelligence has got a sense of self-preservation. Most beasts have a sense of self-preservation. Now, I grant you that there are some magical creatures and constructs, and some of the insectoid-based kind of beasts will fight to the death because they don't know any better. It's an all or nothing thing for them. That's how they're programmed. And there are the occasional race of people or tribe of people whose philosophy is all or nothing. And okay, but that should be the exception to the rule, not the rule. And if you're walking around basically with a group of what everybody calls murder hobos these days, whose they just want to slaughter everything. Doesn't matter if it's got loot or not. It doesn't matter if there's any valuable reason for doing so. I mean, we run across a lone hunting party of three goblins in the wilderness on a hunting party. They're out scavenging for whatever they can find for the tribe, and the group jumps on them and slaughters them for no reason whatsoever. They were not provoked. They weren't attacked. The goblins didn't even know the group was there until it was too late. Kind of group of what kind of alignment based choices was that, right? It goes to that argument: how much do we apply, and what exactly do alignments do? There's a lot of games that have done away with game systems that have done away with alignments, but we're back to character, right? Shouldn't our player characters have character too? Have some sense of what's right and wrong in the world and what they would do or not do or prefer not be done to them? I'm just saying, right? I mean, think about it for a moment. Just saying, think about it for a moment. Is this the way we want to play the game? Is this the method or the madness that it's all or nothing, do or die, kill and kill and kill some more? Especially when your characters get to the point where they're high enough level that a lot of these lower level encounters are going to guarantee, you almost can almost guarantee 99.9% of the time it's going to go in the favor of the players. Is it necessary to slaughter the poor goblins just because they're goblins?